And well, my correspondent Saurabh is now joining me live from the crash site there in Baramati. Saurabh, if you can show us around what's happening at this point of time.
एक चार रैली को संबोधित करने वाले थे। वहां पर आप देखिए कितने सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स भी मौजूद है और जो पूरे प्लेन के पार्ट्स है पूरे इस क्षेत्र में फैले हुए। सबसे अहम बात आप देखिए कि यहाँ पर जो मेरे कैमरा पर्सन अमर से कहूंगा कि है, यानी कि जो प्लेन को लैंड होना था वो इस जगह को होना था। देखिए ये थोड़ी एक ऊंची सी ढलान है और इस ढलान पे यहाँ पर आप देखें कि ये पूरा एक रनवे है, एक मेकशिफ्ट रनवे यहाँ पर बनाया गया है क्योंकि प्रॉपर एयरपोर्ट नहीं है यहाँ पर। और इसी जगह पर आप देखिए आगे चल के यहाँ पर आपको दिखाना चाहूँगा कि थोड़ा और आगे हम आते हैं, यानी कि ये देखिए ये जो पूरी सड़क है और वहां पर से आप देखिए कि वो जो मार्ग आपको दिख रहा है, कैमरा पर्सन अमर से कहूँगा कि थोड़ा और जूम करके आपको दिखा दे, तो यहाँ पर इस प्लेन को लैंड करना था। अब आप देखिए कि पूरी तस्वीरें यहाँ से आपको दिखाना चाहिए। ये देखिए यहाँ से वो प्लेन आ रहा था, यहाँ से वो प्लेन आ रहा था। पहली बार जब प्लेन यहाँ पर आया तो वो लैंड नहीं कर पाया। पायलट ने कहा कि उसे रनवे नहीं दिख रहा है। उसने एटीसी टावर से जब संपर्क किया तो उसने कहा कि हमें रनवे नहीं दिख रहा है, इसलिए हम गो राउंड करेंगे। यानी कि जो आई विटनेस थे वो बता रहे थे कि प्लेन रनवे के बहुत नज़दीक आता है, लेकिन यहाँ पर ठीक सामने से देखिए, यहाँ पर एक ठीक सामने से एक बार फिर से वो पूरा गो राउंड करता है और गो राउंड करके यहाँ से एक बार फिर से लैंडिंग करने की वो कोशिश करता है। लेकिन एक बार फिर से जब पायलट से पूछा जाता है तो वो बताता है कि उसे रनवे नहीं दिख रहा है। फिर एटीसी के साथ उसका कोई संपर्क नहीं हुआ है और उसके बाद आप देखिए कि ये फील्ड स्ट्रिप है, यानी कि एयर स्ट्रिप इसे कहते हैं हम। यहाँ पर प्लेन को लैंड करना था, लेकिन इसके ठीक राइट साइड में, इसके ठीक पीछे वो प्लेन वहाँ पर दुर्घटनाग्रस्त हो जाता है, वहाँ पर क्रैश करता है। आप देखिए अभी भी तस्वीर आपको दिखाना चाहूँगा, भारी तादाद में यहाँ पर लोग मौजूद है, पुलिसकर्मी मौजूद है। एक बार फिर से आपको यहाँ से देखिए वो एक और हेलीकॉप्टर वहाँ पर लैंड हुआ है बस कुछ ही देर पहले, अब वो फिर से टेक ऑफ कर रहा है। तो बारामती के लिए ये जो एयर स्ट्रिप है वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। उतनी ज़्यादा यहाँ पर सहूलियत नहीं है, लेकिन एक मेकशिफ्ट यहाँ पर आप देखिए एक हेलीकॉप्टर बस थोड़ी देर पहले यहाँ पर लैंड हुआ था। कोई वीआईपी यहाँ पर आए हुए थे, अब उसको छोड़ने के बाद ये हेलीकॉप्टर यहाँ से टेक ऑफ कर रहा है। यानी कि मैं आपको बता दूं कि जब ये प्लेन इस रनवे को अप्रोच कर रहा था, ये रनवे नहीं पकड़ पाया और उसके ठीक साइड में एक खाई है। कैमरा पर्सन अमर से कहूँगा कि एक बार फिर से मेरे तरफ आइए, क्योंकि ये यहाँ पर जो है ये एयर स्ट्रिप है और फिर इसके ठीक नीचे एक बड़ी सी खाई है। यहाँ पर देखिए, ये देखिए ये अभी हेलीकॉप्टर यहाँ कुछ देर पहले आया था और अब ये वापस जा रहा है। और यहाँ से देखिए कि ये एयर स्ट्रिप के नीचे एक खाई पड़ी हुई है। अब उस खाई के नीचे देखिए किस तरीके की तस्वीरें हैं वो बताएंगे हम आपको। अब आप देखिए तो ये रनवे मिस कर देता है और रनवे मिस करने के बाद ये प्लेन यहाँ पर आके क्रैश कर जाता है। तो ये तस्वीर आप देखिए कि कैसे ये प्लेन रनवे मिस किया है और रनवे मिस करने के ठीक बाद ये राइट साइड में आपको ये जो पूरा मलबा दिख रहा है, देखिए पूरे 1 किलोमीटर और 2 किलोमीटर के दायरे में पूरी एरिया को कॉर्डिन ऑफ कर दिया है। और क्योंकि ये बहुत अहम यहाँ पर जो सुराग है वो लोग मिलेंगे, जो जांच ऑफिशियल्स यहाँ पर आएंगे उनको ये एक एक पीस को जोड़ना होगा। ब्लैक बॉक्स ज़रूर मिल गया है। अब देखिए डॉक्यूमेंट्स कितने सारे हैं, हज़ारों की तादाद में पेजेस यहाँ पर आपको देखने को मिलेंगे और वो उड़ के अलग अलग जगह पे गए हैं। जो नोज है और वहाँ पर जो टेल है वो अभी आपको दिखा रहा है और बस अभी यहाँ पर जांच होगी थोड़ी देर में। लोग यहाँ पर लगातार आ रहे हैं क्योंकि यही वो जगह है जहाँ पर ये दुर्घटना हुई है।
All right, that was our correspondent Saurabh, perhaps the only reporter there closest to the crash site. He gave us an in-depth analysis there. These are the live visuals we are getting you of the crash site there, the wreckage of the jet layer plane there, showing you the nuances that led to the crash. Of course, the pilot did alert the ATS regarding low visibility, but right now, on his screens right now, are the visuals, the wreckage of the crash that led to the demise of the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Ajit Pawar. Of course, according to our reporter Saurabh, black box has been recovered, but the kind of lethal crash that took place because the pilot could not land there at the Baramati runway, 5 to 6 kilometers short before the landing. And let's go back to Saurabh Batania, who's there at the crash site closest.
लैंड होना था।
He's telling us more.
यहाँ पर ऐसे कोई सहूलियत नहीं है कि यहाँ पर एक जो अत्याधुनिक जो चीजें होती है वैसी कुछ नहीं है। एक मेकशिफ्ट यहाँ पर एयरपोर्ट और रनवे बनाया गया है, क्योंकि बारामती में ऐसा कोई एयरपोर्ट मौजूद नहीं है। तो ये इस तरीके से ये रोड यहाँ पर बना हुआ है, वो रनवे मौजूद है। एंड व्हाट द ऑफिशियल्स आर टेलिंग अस दैट इन द मॉर्निंग देयर वाज लॉट ऑफ मिस्ट एंड द रनवे वाज नॉट विजिबल एट ऑल। रिमेंबर द प्लेन वाज कमिंग फ्रॉम दैट साइड। यहाँ पर जो ठीक पीछे जो मेरी तस्वीर देख रहे हैं, उस जगह से इस प्लेन को आना था। पहले राउंड में जब ये प्लेन यहाँ पर आता है, ऑन द फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट द पायलट टू द एटीसी ऑफिशियल क्लियरली सेड दैट द रनवे इज नॉट विजिबल। पायलट ने साफ तौर पे एटीसी को कहा कि मुझे रनवे नहीं दिख रहा है, बहुत धुंध है, जिसके चलते एटीसी ने उसे कहा प्लेन यहाँ पर बहुत नजदीक आया था। जो आई विटनेस हमें बता रहे हैं कि प्लेन बहुत नजदीक आ गया था एंड देन इट हैड टू मेक अ गो राउंड फ्रॉम दिस प्लेस। सो आफ्टर मेकिंग अ गो राउंड इट केम बैक अगेन। इवन देन द पायलट सेड दैट द विजुअल्स ऑफ रनवे आर नॉट क्लियरली विजिबल एंड देन there was no contact with the pilot and the ATC. Here you can see, and then it crashed at this particular place. Now the NDRF team is over here. There are also several other officials who are present over here. The area is completely cordoned off. Over here you can see crashed, and this is a small valley. This is because this is on a mountain top. You can see that how this particular airstrip has been made. It's a makeshift airstrip over here, and it missed the airstrip and it has crashed over here. The cops and all the officials are present over here. They have completely cordoned off the area. तस्वीरों में आप देख सकते हैं किस तरीके से पूरी तरह किया।
That's my colleague Saurabh giving you an analysis. We're getting you live visuals from the crash site there in Baramati. He speaks about how the pilot tried to land on the runway, but the distance of the crash was more than 6 kilometers from the runway. What we do know that there was poor visibility. The pilot did alert the ATS. Both the pilots were highly experienced, 15,000 to 16,000 flying time. But we're getting you these live visuals of the wreckage, the kind of lethal crash that took place earlier in the morning, which led to the demise of the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Ajit Pawar. These are the live visuals right now. Of course, the Pawars have reunited there in Baramati before the funeral takes place tomorrow at 11 a.m. What we do know is that the black box has been recovered, but of course, the kind of wreckage there at the crash site, it almost took 4 to 5 hours for the fire, for the flames to come down at this point of time. There will be various lines of inquiry as to what happened. But Saurabh, my colleague, is now joining me live from the crash site. He's the only reporter there. Saurabh, at this point of time, आप हमें क्या बता सकते हैं सारे ऑफिशियल्स AIBIB एंड जो हम सिविल एविएशन मिनिस्टर ने भी कहा है कि प्रोब होगा, that there will be a probe and there will be an accountable manner probe at this point of time. But what are the contours of the probe that will happen in the next few days? What we do know is that a black box has been recovered.
So, well, the black box is definitely recovered. Now, how the entire sequence of event has taken place, that is very important. Now, this is a makeshift runway over here. We are NDTV on, we clearly show you the visuals of the runway. This is actually the runway wherein this plane had to land. And now what has happened is, this is a bit a hilly area. This is on the hilltop. This particular runway is made on a hilltop. To show you visuals. Outside the area, this is completely village area. There are all fields over here, farm fields over here. Now what had happened, it was early morning at around 8:40, 8:30. Now what had happened, the plane was coming from that direction. The pilot to the ATC clearly said in the first attempt, he said that the airstrip, the fill strip is not.
Seems to be some technical glitch with my colleague there, Saurabh, who's getting us on-ground details. The only reporter there from the crash site, and we are getting the visuals of the jet layer there. He's back with us. Yes, Saurabh, show us around as to the area where the crash took place. We do know that the distance of the crash was more than approximately 5 to 6 kilometers from the runway. Saurabh, over to you.
No, if we see, it is not even few meters. See, this is particular. You can see these are the visual. This is the runway over here, and now from here, it's a long shot. I'll ask my camera person number to show you. There you can see it's this the entire runway over here. The plane was supposed to land over here, but when it came for the second round, it turned around this completely area, and then it was the second attempt wherein he once again the pilot clearly told ATC that the airstrip, the runway is not visible, and then there was no contact. Now just see how less distance this particular crash has happened. Now we are here at this particular runway. I'll ask my camera person to show you. It's a small valley kind of thing. Let's just see the visuals out here. From here, you can see, like I said, the runway is at the hilltop. And from here, this particular plane actually got crashed just next to the airstrip. So here's the runway where I showed you the visual. And just over here, this plane crashed exactly in the side of the runway. Here you can see the debris of the entire plane over here. The debris are spread across the area. It's around 1 or 2 kilometers over here. The cops have completely barricaded this particular place. We are waiting for the officials to come over here. They will be investigating because all this debris has to be connected back into one piece for investigation. That is very important. I'll ask my camera person to show you the different parts of the aeroplane over here which are spread across this area. So just one side over here where the officials are present, that's the runway, and it missed this particular runway. It misses this runway. On the left side here you can see the plane has crashed. There are also a lot of documents. There are also a lot of papers over here. They're asked not to touch anything, and therefore entire area is cordoned. There are people in huge number who are coming over here. They want how this entire thing has happened. Over here you can again see the police official trying to barricade this entire place because all this piece of evidence is very important. When the investigation takes place, it will be very important that how this entire incident has taken place. Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, who has lost his life, Ajit Pawar, he had to conduct over 4 rallies over here, and he has lost his life in this particular incident. It's a very saddening incident, and he was so much connected to Baramati. He has lot of development work for the people of Baramati, and therefore thousands of people are coming over here across the states, especially from the western Maharashtra, to pay final respect to Ajit Pawar.
Right, Saurabh. I also have with us Radhika and Abhishek, who are tracking the fallout of what happens next to NCP and Mahayuti. But coming back to you, Saurabh, joining us live from the crash site. Of course, you gave us a lowdown of the contours of the probe. But the big question remains that it took approximately 45 minutes after which the 7-layer Jet 45 aircraft crashed. The big question is that did the aircraft suffer in mid-air? Why was the pilot not able to land? What we do know that there was a poor visibility issue. But talk to us more about the line of inquiry which will be taken moving forward.
Now, black box remains the most important part of investigation. Let me tell you, that will be the most important thing, wherein the final conversation between the pilots. There are 2 pilots inside. One had over 16 years of experience and one had around 15 hours of experience. Now, what the conversation went through amongst them. Now, what happened is over here, let me show the visuals again. When the plane crashed over here, nobody knew what was happening because there is a motor training school over here. And also there is other things over here. So what happens is when this particular plane crashed over here, there were villagers around. They actually reached this particular. What they did is that water they brought in, they tried to pour in the debris which was here. They also brought in some of the blankets and other things which they could. There were bodies which were lying all around. Let me tell you, this particular crash sites, there were bodies which were lying all around. Then the eyewitness and the cops, with the help of blankets, they removed the people from the blanket, and the body were charred to death. Let me tell you, it was in very bad condition. And Ajit Pawar's body was recognized with his wristwatch, his shoes, and the way the Whereas in that way, Ajit Pawar was identified. There were the eyewitness and the cops who reached this particular spot first. Now the officials over here have recovered the black box. The officials have did first round of inspection. Again, you can see there are senior police officials who are at the spot. They will be completely barricading this particular place because this is a very important piece of evidence that how this entire sequence of events have taken place. You can see it's just beside the runway. You can see the runway was on the right side and here below a small valley kind of thing, and here the plane has crashed. You can see one more helicopter which has taken off from this particular runway. Like I said, that this is the only runway which is available over here, and all the planes and all the helicopters does their landing over here only. Around here, this entire area is a farmland, and the villagers who are present over here, they were the one who first reached the spot and they helped to get people out of this particular debris. Now, the debris has been kept as it is. The documents all around. The place is completely secured. The officials are over here. Then more investigating teams from Delhi and Pune, once they reach over here, then they will start to take all the pieces together and do the further course of investigations.
Saurabh, unfortunate, very lethal crash indeed. Just to reiterate to our viewers that we're showing you the wreckage of the plane crash there. But Ajit Pawar's body was perhaps recognized only because the wristwatch that he was wearing, with all 5 on board dying after the crash. We'll be going back to our reporters for more. But right now, let's tell you more about the Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister and NCP party chief Ajit Pawar, who died in a jet crash near his home city of Baramati. Flight tracking data shows his business aircraft took off from Mumbai airport at around 8:10 a.m. Then, around 35 minutes later, it crashed in a mountainous area near Baramati at 8:46 a.m. The aircraft's flight trajectory does not show any abnormality, perhaps. But a primary assessment of the ADSB data suggests that 10 minutes into the flight, it was achieved at an altitude of more than 6 kilometers and was flying at a speed of 1,036 kilometers per hour. The place where the jet stopped sending ADSB signals is around 20 kilometers from the Baramati airport, where it was supposed to make a landing. Now, the bigger question that arises are, number one, did the aircraft suffer mid-air failure? Why did the pilot fail to land in first try? Let's listen in to the reactions on this.
कोई नहीं था, वो पायलट का डिसीजन था. You know, he made an approach from runway 29, and then he carried out a missed approach, after which, again, he tried to make an attempt from runway 11. This is what I also have no contact with the pilots. They are not there. It is a very unfortunate incident. We are very sad about it. We are trying to first be with the family, solidly with the family who have lost their next of kins. It's a very unfortunate incident. Primarily, it appears that, you know, the pilot could not see the runway, and that's why he would have carried out the misapproach.
All right, so that was the bite of VK Singh, who is the owner of Director VSR company, and he clearly said that the crash happened because of poor visibility. We, of course, been giving you minute-by-minute updates of how the crash happened. Was it a technical failure, or perhaps why was there no mid-air alert given? What we do know is that both the pilots were highly experienced, 15,000 flying time to 16,000. But what we do know is that the pilot alerted the ATS about poor visibility, but perhaps it crashed 5 to 6 kilometers before the runway. Let's now give you a lowdown of the last 26 minutes of the aircraft. So what happened? 8:18 a.m. is when the aircraft, perhaps 6th SSK, established initial contact with Baramati ATC crew. And they were advised, so the crew was then advised to descend under visual conditions, because the pilot clearly informed them that the visibility was extremely poor. Then what happens is, go around was initiated after first approach to runway by the aircraft. Then at 8:43 a.m., the aircraft was cleared to land on runway 11 after it was alerted that there's absolutely poor visibility at that point of time. Then at 8:43 a.m., No readback. All contact is lost of landing clearance received from crew. At 8:44 a.m. This is all happening in a span of 26 odd minutes. Flames reported near the threshold of runway 11, and that's the news which broke at 8:46 a.m. of the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Ajit Pawar. No more, with all the passengers on board, including the pilot, dying on crash site. Let's tell you more about this jet that all of them were on. It's called the Learjet 45XR. It is the Bombardier Learjet 45 business jet. Let's tell you more about the features of this jet. Twin-engine light business jet. Now, this jet is commonly used for corporate and VIP travel. It's small size and high speed, suitable for short and medium sectors. So these are some of the physical features of the jet, operated by VSR, that's the company's name, and registered as VTSSK. Remember, this jet also had a crash in 2023. Meanwhile, moving on from this, Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar and all others on board, including the pilot and the co-pilot and a flight attendant, lost their lives in this crash earlier today. Let's tell you about the young captain. Captain Shambhavi Pathak was operating the Learjet 45XR that crashed in Baramati earlier today. Well, she had been associated with the company since 2022. She studied aviation at the University of Mumbai and underwent flight training at the New Zealand International Commercial Pilot Academy between 2018 and 2019. Flight attendant Pinky Mali was also on board the aircraft. Her family has now demanded a high-level inquiry into the fatal plane crash. Ironically, in 2024, Ajit Pawar had tweeted that the chances of a smoother landing are higher when the pilot is a woman. So NDTV also spoke with flight attendant Pinky Mali's mother, who are now demanding a high inquiry into the fatal plane crash. The crew lost her life in the plane crash. Listen in to them.
आपको इसके बारे में जानकारी कैसे मिली?
ऐसा था कि सुबह में समाधान सरवनकर जी का फोन आया और मैं इनसे बात कर ही रहा था कि कट गया, तो मुझे डाउट हुआ कि क्यों फोन किए। इतने में मैं चैनल चालू किया तो मैं टीवी से मुझे मालूम पड़ा कि अजीत दादा का ऐसा हो गया। फिर बाकी लोगों का फोन आना चालू हो गया कि अरे पिंकी माली आपकी लड़की का अटेंडेंट थी, ऐसा ऐसा हो गया। कल मेरा उससे बातचीत हुआ था कि पापा मैं बारामती अजीत दादा के साथ जा रही हूँ, तो मैं अभी आप तो 3 टाइम गई थी ना, तो बोले कि हाँ पापा बॉम्बे टू बारामती, बारामती टू वाया नांदेड़ कर ही रही हूँ। वो आई, फिर आज सुबह चली गई। वो उसका कल का लास्ट फोन था, ये मुझे पता नहीं।
ऐसे मन बहुत घबरा रहा था, मैं सोच रही थी कि क्या कुछ तो हुआ है, पर ये लोग मुझे बता नहीं रहे थे, लेकिन मुझे अंदर से लग रहा था। और रोज मुझे सुबह सुबह फोन करती थी, रोज बोलती थी मम्मी नाश्ता कर ले, दवाई खा ले। रोज मुझे फोन करती थी, रोज बोलती थी, पर आज उसका कुछ मैसेज का रिप्लाई नहीं आया, कुछ नहीं आया। मेरा मन अंदर से बहुत घबरा रहा था। वो बात की, उसके पापा बोले कि, फिर मैं बोली क्या बात की पिंकी, तो बोले कुछ नहीं, ऐसे ही बस कल जाने वाली है फ्लाइट में, बस इतना ही बात हुआ और कुछ बात नहीं हुआ।
बड़े बड़े नेताओं के साथ वो जो फ्लाइट अटेंडेंट थे, अजीत पवार भी उसी फ्लाइट में?
हाँ, अजीत पवार के साथ, फर्नांडिस के साथ, नारायण रानी के साथ, उनके बेटे लोग के साथ, चिरंजीवी हीरो है उसके साथ, उसके पूरे फैमिली के साथ ऐसे फ्लाइट अटेंड करती थी वो। सब बड़े बड़े लोग के साथ में अटेंड करती थी।
अब तक पता नहीं चला टेक्निकल ग्लिच है किस कारण हुआ, तो आप चाहेंगे कि इसकी जांच हो?
हाँ, चाहूंगी कि इसकी जांच हो। मैं चाहूंगी कि इसकी जांच हो, किस कारण से हुआ। मेरी बेटी तो चली गई, अब तो नहीं आएगी।
मुझे सूचना मिली 11 बजे के करीब, मेरे छोटे बेटे ने बताया, उन लोगों ने नहीं बताया क्योंकि मैं अकेली हूँ, मेरे हस्बैंड की भी लास्ट ईयर डेथ हो गई।
जी,
तो आप ही के पास रहते?
आपके बेटे ने कुछ खबर की?
छोटे बेटे ने, उनके मतलब शांभवी के चाचा ने मुझे बोला कि ऐसे ऐसे मम्मी अजीत पवार का वो हुआ है क्रैश, और वही एयरक्राफ्ट है जो चीनी, उसका घर में चीनी बुलाते, चीनी उड़ा जो फ्लाई करती है, सेम एयरक्राफ्ट का नाम आ रहा है। तो मैंने देन एकदम मैंने बोला, क्योंकि रात को मेरे बड़े बेटे से मैंने पूछा था वेयर इज चीनी, तो बोले चीनी कल दोपहर में ही मुंबई गई है, जहाँ तक मुंबई से ऑपरेट करती थी।
जी, आज सुबह मैसेज भी आया।
हाँ आया, वही तो कह रहे हैं, वो कभी बहुत कम मुझे लिखती थी, फ़ोन पे बात कर लेती थी। अभी पूजा वूजा हुई तो फ़ोन पे करा, हाँ मैं आपको फ़ोटो भेज रही हूँ, फ़ोटो भेजी। फिर आज सुबह पता नहीं, मैं अपना पूजा में जाने के पहले मैं अपना ऐसे मोबाइल चेक कर रही तो देखा शांभवी का मैसेज है। मैंने कहा हाँ, तो मैंने खोला तो उसमें लिखा हाय, वो मुझे दादी नहीं बोलती थी, दद्दा बोलती थी, दद्दा, हाय दद्दा और गुड मॉर्निंग।
Well, Ajit Pawar's last interview in the very same aircraft that crashed today. NDTV's Rahul Kulkarni spoke with him on January 13th. Take a listen.
इसकी ऑडियंस आपको देख रहे हैं, तो शायद ऐसा तो नहीं कि दोनों राष्ट्रवादी कांग्रेस जो है अभी साथ में आ रही है, जो आपके मनमुटाव थे, चूंकि आपने पिंपरी चिंचवड में कहा भी, अभी जो हुआ सो हो गया।
नहीं, क्या हुआ इस चुनाव में, हमारे कार्यकर्ता जो है, कैंडिडेट जो होना चाहते थे, उन्होंने हमें भी बताया, उनको भी बताया, और अकेले लड़कर अगर वोटों का बंटवारा हुआ तो कैंडिडेट का नुकसान होता है। तो जो भी हमारा कार्यकर्ता है वो चुनाव उन्होंने जीतना चाहिए, और वो जीतने के लिए अगर बंटवारा न होते हुए दोनों साइड के वोट अगर मिल गए तो रिजल्ट थोड़ा बहुत ठीक आने की संभावना रहती है।
ये आगे जाके भी होगा?
नहीं, अभी तो मैंने खाली कॉरपोरेशन के चुनाव के बारे में मेरा सोचना चालू है, और उसके बाद जिला परिषद, तालुका पंचायत, ये इस पे हम सब ध्यान देने वाले हैं। और उसमें तुरंत बाद अपना इस साल का बजट आने वाला है 23 फरवरी को, 23 फरवरी 2026, इसमें मुझे बजट पेश करना है। तो ये सब काम में मैं बहुत बिजी हूँ। हमने उस एंगल से कुछ सोचा नहीं।
तो जो दिल्ली में चर्चा है कि जो राष्ट्रवादी है शरद पवार का गुट, वो भी एनडीए का सहयोगी सदस्य बनना चाहता है,
मुझे बेहतर
आपको पता है? और सुप्रिया सुले भी शायद मिनिस्टर बनेगी, ये भी कहा जा रहा है।
नहीं, क्या होता है, अभी जैसे बीच में बहुत दिन उद्धव ठाकरे साहब की शिव सेना और राज ठाकरे जी की मन से एक आ सकती है, एक हो सकती है, एक हो सकती है, साथ साथ चुनाव लड़ सकती है। उन्होंने पार्टी अलग अलग रखी है, सही है ना? पार्टी तो अलग अलग है। उन्होंने कुछ कैंडिडेट खड़े किए, इन्होंने कुछ कैंडिडेट
तो, लेकिन दोनों आपस में एक साथ चुनाव मिलकर
जैसे भाजपा शिवसेना इतने सालों से मिलकर लड़ रही है, वैसे अभी ये दोनों साथ साथ आए हैं, तो उन पार्टी के कार्यकर्ताओं को ठीक लगता है, और उन पार्टियों के वोटर जो है उनको भी ठीक लगता है कि चलो अच्छा हो रहा है। ऐसा मैंने से शिवसेना के बारे में,
वही एनसीपी के बारे में है, ऐसा आप बताना
वैसा अभी जो वोटर है एनसीपी का, जो पवार साहब कुछ चाहते हैं या हम पार्टी चलाते, हमारे भी थोड़ा बहुत कुछ वोटर है, वो दोनों वोटर को अच्छा लगता है कि चलो।
And while we're getting breaking news, Ajit Pawar's funeral procession to begin at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Funeral procession to begin from the Gandhima Auditorium there in Baramati, and the last rites of the Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar will take place at 11 a.m. tomorrow, with the procession starting at 9 a.m. What we do know is also that Ajit Pawar's remains will be kept for public viewing at Vidya Pratishthan, which is a ground where the mortal remains are kept before the last rites. There's also been a 3-day state mourning which has been declared in Maharashtra. The last rites of the Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister, who's also been known as the architect of modern Baramati, will take place in Baramati tomorrow at 9 a.m. with the last rites taking place at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Well, all the leaders from the Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis to Eknath Shinde and all the Pawars are there in Baramati. A short while ago, they were there at the Vidya Pratishthan, which is a public ground, of course. Public ground of mortal remains before the funeral takes place. We do know that there's been a massive gathering outside the Pratishthan there because Ajit Pawar was perhaps a mass leader. He was the key architect of modern Baramati infrastructure, and there will be a lot of people from Baramati, from Maharashtra. We do know that Uddhav Thackeray is on his way to Baramati, who will be there to pay their last respects to a man who was completely very close to the grassroots, and the kind of void which will be left after Pawar's demise. His last rites will take place at 11 a.m. tomorrow, with the funeral beginning at 9 a.m. Which will be beginning from Gandhima Auditorium in Baramati. It's also perhaps coincident to note here that Baramati was perhaps his ground, that is from where Ajit Pawar rose in politics, and as fate could have it, it is in Baramati where his last rites will be conducted tomorrow at 11 a.m. And well, Radhika is now joining me live. Radhika, we've of course been tracking what's next for NCP at this point of time, but the bigger question right now is the kind of void left after Ajit Pawar's demise. Perhaps a controversial leader, but also a very tall leader, known as the key architect of modern Baramati's infrastructure. We do know that the last rites will take place at 11 a.m. tomorrow.
That's it. Last rites will take place at 11 a.m. in Baramati, which is the home turf of Pawar. This is where he was headed to when this fateful accident took place. In fact, he was headed there for Zilla Parishad meetings as well as campaign. Somebody who is absolutely a workaholic, somebody who starts his day early, was headed to his home turf when this accident happened. And as you've been pointing out, yes, was a tall and an influential leader. Somebody who kept NCP, his faction of NCP alive and relevant. Of course, there are controversies surrounding Ajit Pawar over the last several years. There are allegations of corruption and misdoings as far as his tenure when he was the irrigation minister was concerned, or during several other ministerial tenures. But despite that, he was somebody who was, had that influence, had that grassroots level connections as far as people of Maharashtra was concerned. Yes, his the funeral will take place at 11 a.m. Last rites will happen then, and a procession of sorts will happen in Baramati. We've been showing visuals of people in shock, in utter dismay, heartbreaking visuals of NCP cadres, people in Baramati crying. So they deserve a final glimpse of their leader, which is why a procession, a 2-hour procession will take place in his home turf of Baramati, where unfortunately he met with this accident. All his family members are there. They are in shock. They're inconsolable. We saw Sunetra Pawar, his wife, she's in shock. Sharad Pawar also with her, and besides that, Supriya Sule, and also Ajit Pawar's son present there, Devendra Fadnavis, and also Eknath Shinde in Baramati as well. All the top leaders of Maharashtra in Baramati. Very importantly, remains to be seen if Prime Minister Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah and several other central leadership will also be part of the last rites. But yeah.
Right, Radhika. Of course, we'll have to see if Prime Minister Modi and Home Minister Shah will be there. But what we are telling you right now is the last rites of Ajit Pawar will begin tomorrow at 9 a.m. It's going to be a 2-hour procession. We will continue to track all that's happening, but for now, slipping into a very short break. Well, from Baramati's cooperative belts to the corridors of power in Mumbai, Ajit Pawar's journey defined Maharashtra's coalition era. His death closes a chapter in state politics marked by ambition, resilience and controversy. Take a look.
Born on 22nd July 1959, Ajit Pawar was the nephew of veteran leader Sharad Pawar. He entered public life through the Sugar Cooperative Network, Maharashtra's traditional power nursery, before winning elections and rising rapidly within the Nationalist Congress Party. Holding portfolios like water resources, finance and planning, Ajit Pawar became known as a numbers man. Blunt, hands-on and at times polarizing. Allies called him a doer. Critics questioned his methods. His political life was punctuated by dramatic turns. In November 2019, he briefly defected to form a surprise government with the BJP, a government that lasted just 80 hours. It was the first public crack in the NCP family. But the rupture became permanent in July 2023 when Ajit Pawar led a faction of MLAs to join the BJP-led government again, this time as Deputy Chief Minister. The move split the NCP down the middle. Months later, the Election Commission awarded his faction the party name and symbol, leaving Sharad Pawar's loyalists to rebuild under a new banner. Ajit Pawar's story was more than that of a powerful state leader. It was a mirror to India's changing politics, where alliances shift, families fracture, and survival demands reinvention. In life and in legacy, Ajit Pawar was never out of the game.
Well, with Ajit Pawar's tragic death, what's next for the two factions? Will the factions unite post Ajit's demise, or will there be a new political picture painted? To answer the question of who will lead NCP now, let's now take a look at the current Pawar politics and Parivar. The party faces restricted selection possibilities for a new leader. The leading contenders are number 1, Supriya Sule, Ajit Pawar's cousin and Sharad Pawar's daughter. Supriya Sule represents Baramati, and that's in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Supriya Sule won the Baramati seat after defeating her sister-in-law Sunetra Pawar in a rare family competition. Sule back then secured more than 7 lakh votes. Then comes the second contestant, Sunetra Pawar, who is perhaps the wife of Ajit Pawar. She stands as another contestant in the competition as public sympathy is massively with Ajit's family. So she is contestant number 2. However, she lost 2024 Lok Sabha elections to Supriya Sule. The third contestant is Rohit Rajendra Pawar, currently serving as the MLA for Karjat in Maharashtra. He holds the dual roles of Baramati Agro CEO and also the Maharashtra Cricket Association president. At this point of time, the NCP faces one of its toughest periods in choosing its next leader. Well, let's tell you more about the successor. We just told you about the successor. We'll just swift through the pages here. The first is Supriya Sule, who is Sharad Pawar's daughter. She won the Baramati seat in 2024 and she defeated Ajit's wife in 2024 polls. Apart from this, she secured more than 7 lakh votes during that elections. The next contestant is Sunetra Pawar, who is the wife of Ajit Pawar. Apart from that, she is a RS member since 2024. And however, she lost the Baramati 2024 Lok Sabha polls against Supriya Sule. Ajit Pawar's nephew is the third contestant. His name is Rohit Pawar. Let's tell you more about him. He served as the MLA for Karjat Jamkhed in Maharashtra. Apart from this, he is also the Baramati Agro CEO, and he is the Maharashtra Cricket Body President also. So this is perhaps the three top contenders who perhaps can take Ajit Pawar's seat. For now, slipping into a very short break. Well, condolences are also pouring in from lawmakers across the spectrum on Ajit Pawar's demise. His home turf, Baramati, is mourning his Dada's death. Our next report telling you more.
Baramati, mourning its favorite Dada. Tears and tributes to their beloved leader, Ajit Dada Pawar. Baramati and the Pawar family have been synonymous in politics for decades. The now prosperous sugar-producing belt is where Ajit Pawar's political journey started over 3 decades ago. It was here that a young Ajit Pawar, still in his uncle's shadow, learned the game of politics and power and was molded into the hard-nosed politician who would later play a starring role in reshaping, perhaps for all time, Maharashtra's political landscape. And it was here, many years later, that Pawar's journey came to an end. Pawar was a 7-time MLA from Baramati Assembly constituency, winning his first election in 1991. And Baramati did not have another MLA since then. In these 3 decades, Ajit Pawar went from the Congress to the NCP when Sharad Pawar broke ranks with the Grand Old Party and founded the NCP. And more recently, Ajit Pawar led a rebellion against his uncle that split the NCP. But irrespective of which party or symbol he represented, the Baramati Vidhan Sabha seat backed Dada. Ajit Pawar exercised a strong influence over cooperative boards in Baramati and had the image of a development man. It is this support at the grassroots that gave him the confidence to rebel against his uncle, a political giant who founded the party. Ajit Dada Pawar shared a close and personal bond with the people of Baramati, always seen among them, with them. Pawar's working style was defined by pace and presence, sharp, direct, and rooted in daily political contact. He remained active till his last day and died on the way to address public meetings ahead of local polls in his Karm Bhumi, Baramati. Bureau Report, NDTV.